got another motor here. It's another Johnson Evinrude motor. Yeah, it's a Johnson 15 horsepower, 2-stroke, short shaft. The seal number is pretty faded. It's a 1995 or 1996 based on these decals. I've worked on these a lot. These are pretty decent, pretty good 2-stroke motors as far as 2-strokes go. I prefer these over like these previous generation ones. I like the pull starter on these better. The story I got was that it belonged to a guy's relative. He said he didn't know the last time it was on the water. Probably has been a few years. Yeah, that's all I know. So paid $100 for it. You know, it seems complete. It's not locked up. Pulled it over at the guy's house. It has compression. They already pulled the plugs out of it. The plugs looked like brand new actually. So yeah, let's start working on this. First thing first, let's do a compression test on this and see what the compression is. All right, top cylinder. It's reading like 90 PSI, so that's good. Check the bottom. Also dead even at 90, so we got even compression. Yeah, the plugs in this look like brand new, so let's just do a quick spark test. Yep, got good spark. Bottom cylinder has spark too. Cool. Yeah, since this motor's been sitting probably a few years, I just got some PB blaster here. Just gonna throw some into the spark plug holes just to coat those cylinders and cylinder walls. Just because I don't want to fire it up after it's been sitting a few years with those walls dry. Don't want to bust a ring or scrape up the piston. Oh, I was gonna fire this up. I pumped the primer bulb. I don't know if you can see, but when I pump it, yeah, it's leaking fuel out of the fuel pump. So yeah, it's probably just got a bad diaphragm or gasket. I haven't actually, I think this is like a pretty new fuel pump. Might even have a second spare. So I'm gonna take this off. And this nipple actually is a different size than this fatter nipple. So I just gotta swap this nipple. And hopefully these gaskets are good and should have no more leak. Yeah, the issue with this fuel pump is the mounting bolts. This one you can probably get off, but that second one down there, you kind of have to remove the side panel here. There's just 1, 2, 3 screws you could undo and kind of slide this out a bit to get better access to that last flathead. Well, I don't quite remember how this went together because all this was in pieces, but I think that's how it goes. But just to be sure, I'm gonna open this old fuel pump and confirm very carefully to not launch these springs everywhere. Well, I found the issue. There's like that notch and that's a crack in this little plastic like filter screen piece. So I think that was the issue. The gaskets and diaphragm look good, so it's really just this piece, I believe. Yeah, also this O-ring was pretty worn out too, so I replaced that. Yeah, I'm pumping the primer bulb and that fuel pump is no longer leaking. So yeah, let's fire her up, see what happens. Yeah, the throttle's missing the handle, like rubber, so at like the lowest idle, it runs kind of rough and dies. Yeah, I could use a carb clean. It's actually cleaning pretty decent water. Yeah, the gears work. Yeah, I think it just needs a carb clean, really. Just because the idle die out. Just runs a little rough at the lowest. I got this carb off. It's really not too dirty. Bowl looks pretty good. Maybe there might be a little stuff in the jets, but yeah, this might be sitting a little bit low, slightly, or it looks okay actually, but I might raise it just like a hair right there. But yeah, we'll just give it a clean that jet, pop this off, clean the passages in there, see if that does it. I mean, while we have it off, we might as well just check the needle. That needle might be a little bit rounded at the tip, so I think I'm actually going to change out this needle. It should be a lot sharper point at the tip. All right, new needle and slightly adjusted that float, so that looks pretty solid to me. So yeah, we'll pop this and clean that. All right, so after that carb clean, she's running a lot better. just did some black grip tape since it was just straight plastic, so a lot easier to grab now. This Johnson motor, it'll pee with the earmuffs, but it won't pee in a bucket of water because it's got a weak impeller. And so I usually test it both, just because you'll think it's okay with the earmuffs on because it's peeing water, but then when you put it in under load, the impeller's too weak to actually pump any water. Not pumping any water. Need a 3/8 wrench. Get these 6 bolts off, and then there's just a linkage down in here that you gotta undo the screw. There's a little flathead screw in here you gotta undo. Yeah, she's pretty warped out, so needs a new impeller. New impeller, I'm gonna put it in this Johnson 15 here. Yeah, for this drift key, you can just put a little bit of grease on it just to hold it in place, and then just, you know, carefully slide that impeller. All right, with that new impeller, let's just confirm that it pees water while the motor's under load in a bucket. All right, that new impeller did it. All the gears working, forward, neutral, reverse. Fires go back up. Alright, got another motor here. Let's start working on it. So this is a 2003 Nissan 4-stroke 9.9 long shaft, and this might be one of the heaviest like 9.9 motors, like 4-stroke motors ever made. I think this thing weighs like 120 something pounds. If I'm not mistaken, I think this 9.9 is like the same block as the 15 and 18 horsepowers. Those just have like a slightly bigger carb, like bigger jets in the carb. But yeah, I paid $100 for this. I got it from the same guy that sold me this Johnson 15. And yeah, it's missing the side covers here. It needs this rubber on the cowling re-glued. So, but other than that, it looks pretty complete. Same story as this Johnson 15. The guy has no idea the last time these were on the water. They belong to relatives, I believe. And he would guess like a few years since they've been run. It's got like an interesting, like, this is almost like what you would add to your fuel tank, not to the motor, but I guess that's fine. Yeah, oil filter, 4-stroke. Yeah, carb. This thing actually looks pretty clean for sitting for a few years. So yeah, we'll take the spark plugs out right here and go through the usual, do a compression test, see what we're dealing with. We got about 90 PSI, which is good. So let's do the bottom. Wow, that's a lot more. It's like 110. So yeah, it's kind of off. Let me do the top one more time. I did do this one like kind of tighter. There's not many threads on this compression gauge, so let's try one more time and see where we're at. Just did the top cylinder again. Yeah, we're getting like 120. So That's a little better. Let's just see if we got a spark on both these cylinders. Let's just check for oil here. It's not terrible. It's a little brown, but yeah, let's fire it up. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm replacing this. I mean, this thing would have just rattled a bunch while the motor was running. So I got one that's actually supposed to fit, has the threaded end, so it can actually fit. Just feed a bolt through there and should be a lot better. Yeah, I'm gonna replace this fuel filter. These fuel lines are just a little bit short since I had to cut like the end a little bit. So here's just a little longer one. I got that new fuel connector on, so let's send it. That was easy. It's running a little rough. I could use a carb clean. It's not idling as well as it should. The gears, forward, neutral, reverse. Might need a propeller too. Take off this carb. So yeah, once you get the carb off, there's like these two yellow wires. They both have the same end. I'll usually just put like a piece of tape on where they're supposed to go since I don't get them mixed up. Yeah, carb's really not too bad as I suspected. Probably just like a little bit of stuff in the jets, just enough to like make it idle a little bit rough. So we'll spray this through with carb cleaner and see if that fixes our rough idle. Yeah, there's a few jets under here. Just make sure they're clean as well. Yeah, so even after the carb clean, it's still running rough at idle. So these like older 4-strokes, a lot of the time, they'll have this like brass cap over the air mixture screw. So I'm gonna drill it out and then try adjusting that. Just gonna make a little pilot hole right in the middle and then drill it out. I just use a small bit to start. I'm gonna work my way up to a bigger one. So then if you just get like a sheet metal screw, catch those threads, pop it free, there it goes. Let's see if that, even just a little turn does anything. Running pretty decent, but as I suspected, it wouldn't pee water in a bucket because it was peeing really weak water with the earmuffs, which was forcing water to the water pump. But yeah, it's not peeing any water now, so it needs an impeller. So there's this linkage here for doing an impeller change. Basically just get like a little hammer punch out the linkage right there, just the top one. 1/2 inch or 13 mil to get these nuts on the lower unit off to drop it. One fin broken, another fin, so 2 fins broken. Yeah. Not great. Well, I was just going through my parts and actually just found a basically new impeller. I think Honda 7.5s and 10 horsepower, some of the models use this exact impeller, so I think that's where it was from. So yeah, we'll throw this guy on. Yeah, changing the fluid in this lower unit and it's pretty black. There we go. Yeah, I mean that oil I just dumped it was like straight tar. Probably like the original oil. Alright, with that new impeller, it's peeing a lot better water. Oh, gonna do an oil change. Just gotta remove this bolt. I mean, since it's missing the side covers, makes it even easier to get to it. That takes about a quart. 10W30. My way to fix this shit. Alright, pretty much done working on this Nissan 99. Trying to remember everything I did to it. See, I did a carb clean, new oil filter, new fuel filter, new impeller, new gear oil, These side covers were missing, so ordered those off eBay, off of Mercury. So they were black, so I had to sand them, spray paint them. Couldn't quite find the right color online, so just used kind of whatever silver I had. You know, looks better than black. Yeah, so I'm just gonna fire it up one more time, make sure it's still running good. Fires right back up. Getting good water. Just give it some RPMs and forward. This is a 1988 Mercury, 25 horsepower, 2-stroke long shaft. I think it's an 88. I looked up the serial number. But yeah, the story I got on this was that the guy had it on his boat. It was a little underpowered, so he upgraded to a 40. This has been sitting for, he said, at least like 2 years. Nice thing too is he said he put fogging oil in it, ran the fuel dry out of it. And so he said he'd be surprised if it didn't fire right up. You know, it's got electric start. Came with the harness too, and it's got pull start. So yeah, I only paid 150 bucks for this, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. Yeah, the plugs aren't rusted or anything. So far when I went to the guy's place, I don't know if the electric start works yet because he didn't have a battery, but I pulled it over. The compression was like 105 or 110 on both cylinders, so it's got good compression. So yeah, let's do a spark test, see if the electric start works, and yeah, maybe we won't even have to do anything to this. Might fire up. All right, I got it hooked up to a battery, so we'll see if the electric start works and if it's got spark. All right. Yeah, she's got spark. Yeah, so look at the size difference of these two. This is a 9.9 Nissan 4-stroke. This is a 25 horsepower 2-stroke. I mean, the 9.9 is significantly bigger than this 25, which I think is funny. I was gonna fire this up, but when I went to pump the primer bulb, this fuel filter is leaking. I think it's, I don't know if it's missing the O-ring or if it's just really damaged, so let me fix that. Good thing I checked because there's a bunch of crap in the fuel filter, so glad I only just pumped it like once or twice and that didn't go into the carburetor. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of like damaged there, kind of bent up there. I'm a hoarder, so I ended up just finding a new O-ring that fit, so we're gonna put this on. I have this coat hanger that I keep for this purposely because motors that have been sitting, yeah, look at all that. There's a bunch of dirt that just came out. Some chunky stuff up in there. Yeah, look at that, that came out on my hand. Usually like bugs like to make nests in there. I'll try that again. Yeah, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's like a, I don't know, like a nest or something up in there, because when I pulled this off, water shot out of here, so it's just blocked up in this line. Yeah, even after all that, I like smacked it on the ground and all that stuff came out, so it should pump water now. There we go, that's a good stream. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, it fires right up every time. Give it some throttle. Yeah, it doesn't really happen too often where I don't really have to do much to these motors. All I've really done is put on a missing handle here. But yeah, the guy said he took care of it, said he winterized it and put fogging oil in it, ran all the fuel dry. Sounds like he did his own maintenance to it. I'm guessing he must have put an impeller in it at one point because it's paying pretty damn good water. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep moving on to all these other motors I got. Well, I think I got enough motors at the moment. Just need to get off Facebook and Craigslist and stop buying shit. But we got another project here. So this is a Evinrude 30 horsepower, 2-stroke. I looked up the serial number. It's a 1991. It's a short shaft. I mean, this thing's probably gonna fly. So the person I bought it from was sitting in his storage unit for a while. I don't even know how many years. And I got it for $100. Came with the stand, motor, 6-gallon gas tank. Even threw in this little like piece. It's like for the like primer choke bulb thing here. So yeah, I don't really know much about it. Last time I was on the water, but for $100, seemed like a pretty good deal. You know, it seems complete. It's not locked up. I pulled it over. All the gears were working. So yeah, hopefully. I know it was a saltwater used motor, he said. He said he had it on like a 14-foot inflatable, and this thing would like fly on the water, he said. So yeah, it's got some cobwebs and some dirt and stuff, but yeah, let's start working on this. This screen is all cracked. The other side's okay, but I've got to replace one, so we'll change this out. All right, we got that screen on, and so yeah, I pulled out the plugs. They really don't look too bad. They're not rusted or anything. So yeah, let's do a compression gauge, see what we're working with. That's no good. So I'm glad it doesn't have electric start, because on a few of these Johnson like 25, 28, and 30 horsepower motors, you can screw in your compression gauge all the way in, but like if I screw it all the way in, the like end of the compression gauge will like hit the piston. So like I couldn't pull it over. So like you kind of have to back it out like a little bit, a couple turns, or else yeah, if you had electric start, you would like, your piston would end up hitting the end of this compression gauge. Feels like it's got really good compression. Oh, 60, that's not great. Probably just because I couldn't turn it all the way in. Yeah, if you look at the threads, they don't really go all that deep. Yeah, this bottom one's like 75, so not the best. I'm thinking just because I can't fully screw it on, it's reading a little bit low. They're a little uneven. I'm gonna spray some PB Blast turned here, try to get that soaking. All right, let's see if we got a little sparky spark. Thought I saw it. Okay, bottom cylinder, spark. Yeah, this carb is looking a little bit dirty, but you know, we got compression and spark, so let's just fire it up and see what happens, I guess. A little throttle. She wants to. You can tell she wants to. Ah, here she is. Just a squirt. Oh yeah. She needs a carb clean, I can tell. Yeah, it needs a carb clean. Yeah, you just need a 13 mil wrench. Get these nuts off. Luckily these carbs are way easier to get off than some of the other 2-stroke carbs. Yeah, this tool right here has become my new favorite for getting all these fuel lines off. Alright, let's see the damage. Something tells me it's gonna be gross. Oh, actually, it looks pretty damn good. Just there's a bunch of shit on this nipple here, so I thought it was gonna be pretty bad. But no, that looks actually pretty good. So yeah, we'll just spray some carb cleaner through these jets, and yeah, clean that air mixture, and then yeah, clean that guy too in there, and I think we might be good to go. Yeah, this air mixture needle was like in like 5.5 or out 5.5 turns. You know, it looks pretty dirty, so we'll clean this, put it back in at what it was at, and go from there. Yeah, this fuel line that runs here, here's what I pulled off. I mean, there's a bunch of shit. It's just basically disintegrating on the inside, so I need to change this out. It was leaking fuel from there too. Well, I don't know if you can see in there, but that's fucked. Just broke off this little nipple piece, the end in there. Luckily, I think yeah, okay, I can kind of save it. Just a little bit I can kind of grab onto. Alright, thankfully I got that piece of shit out, so that's good. Yeah, so working on this Evinrude 30 short shaft. It fires up, it runs okay. I'd broken off this little nipple here, so I just got one off eBay. So that's on. And yeah, timing is a little bit off, like this piece right here. So we'll just put it in forward. So at full throttle, that butterfly is like barely opening. So we just have to adjust this guy here, and I'll adjust it and we'll get this at full throttle. I just had to like slide it forward and angle it just slightly. So now at full throttle, that butterfly is perfectly horizontal and can't go past that horizontal point. So let's try this now. This was blocked up. I had to shove a wire up in here. Could probably use a new impeller. I feel like just the timing needs to be advanced a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if the fuel pump is acting up. Maybe it is this piece that I noticed, like this piece you can like prime it and then it wants to like shut off once it's like out of fuel. So yeah, this Evinrude 30, like it runs okay, but it seems like after like 30 seconds or a minute running, then it starts to not run good. It feels like it's like hurting for fuel. So maybe it is this little piece. Maybe that's why he gave it. He couldn't remember the issue with it. So put this on. You know, it just looks like there's just like a little like key right here that you gotta undo, and then for this plunger piece to like slide over this. So yeah, we'll take this off and install this new one, see if that fixes our issue. I got this new like primer plunger on, and you know, it's definitely getting a better prime. You can kind of see the fuel lines, the fuel going through the fuel lines. So I actually replaced all these lines because here's the old ones. Even with zip ties on the ends, they were pretty warped and it was like leaking fuel. But this is definitely priming a lot firmer. So maybe there was like a bad gasket or something in there. But I fired it up and yeah, it was leaking fuel out of here. So with these new lines, they all got zip ties. So let's fire it up, see what happens. I think I got the idle and timing down a little better now. Idling a little bit low, but I mean, this is all the way maxed out. I've adjusted this. Doesn't die, which is good. This idle's just slightly low. Needs a new impeller. Still gotta do that. Yeah, this old grip just fell apart on me, so got some new grip on here. Alright, gonna do an impeller change on the Evinrude 30. Got a new impeller here, new drift key. Just gotta remove this screen. There's just Phillips screw holding this on to get access to the shift linkage. Okay, I undid this linkage, removed the 4 bolts holding the lower unit on. Yeah, so I had to kind of just tap this with the hammer because it was pretty stuck, and lube it up to get this moving, because there's this little rubber like key right here that holds this on. So take that key off, slide this off, and then the lower unit should slide off. There's the impeller. I mean, it is pretty bent up. None of the fins are broken, but just the fins are all bent, so it's just not gonna pee a ton of water in this condition. New impeller versus the old one. Big difference, so slide this on, put the drift key, should pump better water. So yeah, this previous owner said he hit a rock and chipped this back area on the anti-cavitation plate here. So I'm gonna just grind this and then smooth it out. You know, I also put some gasket material that's hardened now. I mean, if you look at the bolts on the lower unit, I mean, there's only 4, and like, there's not one back here, which it probably should have, just because it wasn't getting like a good seal with these bolts all the way wrenched down. So it's just like leaking a little bit of water there. So hopefully with this gasket material just filling that, it's not losing some water there. Yeah, she's running good now. I always do have a little bit of trouble getting the timing and air mixture on these Evinrudes and Johnsons, especially like the 25, 30, 28 horsepower ones. They're all the same. But yeah, this is the last motor I'm going to show. I got a lot more motors too and a lot more footage to go through, but this will be the last motor for this video. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Please like and subscribe. See you on the next one.